Thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the transmitting masters to have this opportunity to talk about. This is written by our grand predecessor, so he's also known as the Pure Water Elder. Well, that's what he calls himself. Okay. Okay, so these are precepts for daily living, which is precept. Well, in this case, probably it's not as like a strict, very strict thing. It's just maybe like guidelines for daily living or kind of a daily regimen, for to like you can say, get into a good habit, right, every day to do stuff. Because actually, when we're cultivating, we need to, like Buddha says, we want to follow the precepts. The precepts, they are like guidelines, and they kind of help us to cultivate on the right track, right? To control our desires, to control our emotions, control our conduct, our behavior, our words. So all these things. If we're cultivating that, that's what we need to do, right? We're trying to improve ourselves in all ways, and so these kind of help us to do that. All right, so let's see. We can. Let's see. Okay, so that first one, right? So it says the first step in cultivation, right, is to observe the precepts. Do not be too relaxed, must be conscientious. Okay, simple precepts for daily life. Observe the precepts every moment of the day. Right, so he does say, right, so the first step is to observe the precepts. So the precepts, every religion has precepts, okay? They might be called something like, commandments or, the laws, but they kind of define how we should. They're guides. They're really based on certain principles that define how we should live our lives, right? In a sense, essentially, it's following those principles are, of course, based on what you can say the principles of Tao, or the principles, following our conscience, following the Buddha nature. Okay, and so we can't be too relaxed, right? I mean, if being conscientious means, we have to put in the effort, okay? So we really have to put in effort. If we kind of lackadaisical, or we're just, today I'll follow it, tomorrow I don't, then it's not as effective, okay? So that's why we need to make it like a daily regimen, daily routine, so then it becomes natural, okay? So that's the idea. All right. So what he's talking about is, very simple guidelines, simple precepts for everyday life, right? Tao is in everyday life. So cultivation is in everyday life. It's not just coming to the temple and we do all the the bowing and all that stuff, the proprieties. That's part of it, but really, it's in our everyday life everywhere. 24/7, wherever we are. Okay. So that's why it says, we have to observe these precepts every moment of the day. Okay, so, all right. Maybe we should, I guess we can kind of each read one. We go around. But when we read it, right, be loud and clear. Okay, all right, be loud and clear. Okay, so maybe Jean. Yeah.
Get up early at 6 a.m. sharp. A day's plans depend on the morning. Bow to and greet each other. Ask if they slept well.
Yeah, so who gets up at 6 a.m.?
Me.
I get up at 6:30.
6:30.
I'm at 6 a.m. Today I get up at 5:30.
5:30? Wow.
One day.
Yeah, because Sunday I gotta do extra before I get to the
Some
temple.
get up at 9.
9. No one, people get up even earlier? No?
Yeah, we're at like 4.
Once in a while.
Don't you have to get up to
Well, actually, I mean, if you have a temple at home, then you'll probably get up early, right? Around 6.
6:30.
6:30, latest.
When Buddhists go to bed very early too.
Yeah, early to bed, early to rise, right? The same the old saying. But it's true, right? I mean, you go to sleep late and get up early, then you can be tired all day. Like I'm tired. I was up late.
What time did you go to sleep?
It was after 12:30.
Finish that.
But anyways, yeah. So got to try to, yeah, because why? The morning, everything really depends on the morning. So if we get up in the morning, we're all fresh and we're energetic, then that day will go well. If we're all tired in the morning, forget about the rest of the day. It gets worse. So,
The other concept is very important. Before I didn't know that. I always go to bed late, maybe 12:30, and then I got out maybe get up maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock before all days. I find out because during the daytime, because a lot of people say I'm going to sleep during the daytime, right? Because of energy, the yang, the yin yang is different. So when we sleep during the day, we correct more yin negative energy. Okay, we sleep, get up early, we can collect more positive yang energy. That's the difference. And once you do more and more, you can see a lot of people are very healthy because they do that. Thank you.
okay, yeah. I've in my own experience, being up early, it's very, your mind is very clear. Mind is very clear. You can think, you can do things.
Get a lot done.
Yeah, you can get a lot done.
Right.
Even though maybe get tired like by the afternoon, but you can take a nap and all that. But the morning, yeah. I mean but usually it's because why we get tired later is because we didn't get enough sleep. So we have to get enough sleep, right? Get good sleep, right?
How about our senior Master G?
Well, he gets up maybe around 6:30, maybe around 6:30. Yeah, I mean,
That's earlier than that.
no, I mean, even though he tries to sleep early, but he has to get up a lot during the night, to use the bathroom. But
That's what he's.
yeah, so
What time does he go to bed?
usually by 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you got on the bed by 9? No way.
So yeah, so if we're starting the day fresh, then we can also plan for the day, so, what we need to do during the day, and then of course if we're we have in the family right at home, then we bow and greet each other, good morning, say good morning, and ask how we slept last night. Kind of basic, propriety, okay? So, all right. So, next.
After getting dressed, drink a glass of warm water. Harmonize body and mind to let the chi flow freely. Then read the sutras and scriptures. Have confidence in cultivating today.
Okay. So, yeah. So, we get dressed, of course, wash up, right? So our grand predecessor, he always drinks like this glass of water, warm water in the morning. Okay, we should do that. That's actually a good thing. You kind of because we actually get dehydrated in the morning. I mean, when we sleep overnight, and then also let you flush your body, flush the system. You can drink more than one glass. But it's good. Drink water. A lot of people they go straight for the coffee. It's probably not good. Drink water, just plain water. It's better. If you want coffee, you can drink coffee too. But first, drink water. Yeah.
Yeah, the warm water, when we say warm water, not hot, right?
Yeah.
Because just like a little hotter than room temperature. And because after digestion, you have all that stuff left over, so it helps to like flushing out the system.
Okay.
So you could actually put a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in your water and makes it even better.
In the old days, I misunderstood. I thought it was hot water. So in the morning, I drink it, and my God, my stomach was in pain. It was burning.
How did
I
you
said,
even
"Why
get it
does-"
in your mouth?
I
It's so
said,
hot.
how come he said to drink hot water?
Warm water.
Now I know.
Yeah, you have to be able to put it, drink it in. Yeah. So
I drink it slowly, but I drank the whole cup.
yeah.
And And also be careful. People, especially in summer, would like to have a cup of cool water or even freezing water. Yeah, but that's not good because after a night's sleep, rest, our energy is kind of rising up, and then if we drink a cold water, it kind of suppress it down again.
Yeah, cold water is generally not good. I mean, because it's going to shrink your. I mean, it's going to cause your stomach to kind of like it puts it into freeze, right? So it's like it's going to stop functioning for a while because it's cold. So yeah, usually even when like after exercise, you shouldn't drink cold water. You should still drink like at least room temperature or warm water. You can absorb it faster, and it's actually better. So it doesn't. Yeah, it wouldn't harm your stomach so much. Okay, so and then kind of harmonize the body and mind to let the chi flow freely. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly what this is, but you can kind of like, take a moment of silence. Just kind of like, yeah, you can do, letting go of all karmic affinities and just clear your mind. Don't think. Just do that for a few minutes or something. To start your day. Yeah, you want to call that. You want to do some meditation, whatever. Same thing. That kind of let everything just kind of settle in place, get in place. And then he says, of course, to read the sutras and scriptures, right? We should always try to read some scriptures or sutras in the morning. Well, you can do it any time, but in the morning, yeah. So he's saying to read, so whatever, you can pick your favorite sutra and kind of recite it or read it. And that's good for you. It's good for everyone. Okay, especially some of those who are in some of these classes, they have to memorize it. So to help. And so have confidence in cultivating today. Yeah. So if we start the day off right, then we can be confident that we can cultivate during the day. Okay. Okay, let's continue here.
Diligently recite a passage of scripture. Learning accumulates over days and months, but it cannot be just one shot.
For sure.
In this way, daily progress can be made.
Right. So yeah, recite a passage of the scriptures. Any again, this you can pick from any scriptures. I guess unfortunately we don't have very many like English ones, but there are like English translations of like sutras. Okay, so you can read those. Recite. Try to memorize something because
I have a few copies of the English scripture.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah. It may not necessarily make sense to recite that necessarily to English in terms of translation, but it's good to know. I mean, if you find a good passage, you've read some scriptures, and you find something, this is a very good passage, try to memorize that, because why, you can make use of, anytime when, talking to people or whatever, sometimes you can, if it's relevant, then you can just spout it out, say, hey, look at this, the Buddha said this, right? And so you can make use of that. Yeah.
Well, it's also good, I find, if you read more, scriptures or like Buddhist scriptures or even it's good to memorize some of those phrases because it reminds you of, that's the way, that's the proper path. So you should, so there are times, when we could be, under duress, okay, but if you remember those phrases, it'll help you. It's like a correction. It'll correct our path, So that's personal. I mean, everybody said, God,
That's it.
Yeah. But that's my personal experience. So I find it helpful to know. So you have to learn. So you have to learn. You have to know, as much as possible.
Right. Well, the first step in that is self-reflection, of course. I mean, we have to be able to self-reflect first, and then we draw on that knowledge. That's something that we remembered. Okay. Yeah.
memorizing this is also a very good tool when we are trying to introduce people to your Tao. You have something substantial to talk about.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, a reference, right? So it's not like, oh, I'm just saying it, but it's, oh, the Buddha said it, right? Okay. And then, of course, the learning, right? So, we do a little bit every day, right? We learn a little bit every day, and then, that accumulates over the days and months, okay? So that's why it has to be done every day, constantly, right? So if we skip a day, and then we might get lazy and skip a few days, skip a week, then that's no good. Then we don't make any progress. So if we do it every day, then, yeah, it does accumulate. We'll remember it, okay, over time. Yeah, Jill?
Do you have a recommendation for the Buddhist sleeping like what kind of sutra, what kind of sleep? Like maybe a list of it?
Say it again.
A list of...
A list of a sutra or
Sutras.
scriptures for the English speaking people?
You should print out the
Elixir.
or the elixir.
Yeah, okay,
We all got a
right.
copy last week from Christine's class on the elixir. We can memorize that.
You can start from there.
There should be a caveat to your answer, and that's because I would not recommend Diamond Sutra, even though it is short. It is short. It's not, but actually, Diamond Sutra is very difficult. Actually, because it's all conclusion. It doesn't go into detail. If you want to go into details, you can go into Lankavatara Sutra, Surangama Sutra, Avatasaka Sutra, but those are very long. Both sutras are very long.
Short ones.
Well, but here's the problem, the short one. Yeah, Xinjing is okay, but
Xinjing.
I think that's very long. If you're doing introduction, you can do a reading have the chant and all the harmony.
Yeah.
你看现在
Dao Zhi Zhong Zi is good.
Yeah,
Zhi
yeah,
Zhong Zi,
yeah.
because that also helps you in your daily cultivation. When you come across a situation, oh, I gotta be nice and kind to my neighbor, so it will stop you from getting into conflict with
and
them.
teaching temple
Yeah.
wisdom.
well, yeah, if you want to talk about
So
precepts,
you will
yeah.
remember all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very basic, that's
Every day.
but
All
in
the
terms,
English translations are
in terms of scripture, yeah, the purpose of Tao, that's good.
I think we have those information, right?
Yeah, we can print
I
out.
think we can keep it.
Yeah, we can
After we want to take through the email, then we can.
He has all the
No, we don't
English.
want to encourage them too much. You got too much stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you can give me your email after class.
Yeah, then we can share those information. Sometimes 这个理解 Sister G and Christine sisters you can help. And the young people I know they're too busy. So you guys can help. With certain information, help with that. I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, because it's just so many of them. And
Yeah, no, I don't really much. Basic important stuff to start with every day. Okay, good.
Right. So basically, yeah, the ones that were mentioned, right? The elixir of life, which is basically 12 points, 12 main points, and then Heart Sutra, of course, that's well known. So that's longer. And then the 15 precepts, of course, that's yeah. So we do need to know, since we're talking about precepts here, we should in the temple we didn't know those precepts. Okay, so yeah. Right. Okay. So of course, we're not doing this just for show, right? It's to show off, say, oh, look, I memorized these things, right? We're learning from them, and we should apply them, right? Apply the precepts, apply the principles. Yeah.
Actually, as we learn more, a lot of times I found that when we encounter situations, that these phrases, they come to our mind to remind us. So it comes natural.
Yeah, I guess if it's so if it's so like every day if you're reading it or reciting it, and it's like it'll be constantly in your mind, in the back of your mind, and then so like Sister Chan said, it'll pop up at the right moment when you need it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you internalize it. That becomes, it's like habit, but it becomes like part of you. So it's all natural. It becomes all, you don't have to say, oh, wait, let me look it up.
Yeah.
Let me look it up first.
Right.
No. See, that's the key. And because once you internalize it, it's part of your behavior, it's part of your view, it's part of your thinking, it's part of your thoughts, it's part of your words, it's part of your action. And that's the key. So it's internalized. But it takes a while. It takes a while. I'm not saying, it's just like that. But you have to get, that's why you have to get into the habit.
Right.
Right? Right? Because routine. Right? I mean, how many times when we're young, our parents keep saying, hey, before you leave your room, make your bed. Make your bed. Right? How many times? Brush your teeth, make your bed. I hate you doing that. But parents keep doing it. And then what? You grow up, you naturally make your bed. You naturally brush your teeth. You don't have to think about it. Say, oh, wait a minute. Do I have to brush my teeth? Do I have to make my bed? No. Right? So it's the same idea. The same idea.
One point here, Holy Teacher in one of the leader angels to study the sutra. Do you know why? Christine, explain.
When we read the sutra, we may not understand the meaning, but it helps us open our wisdom.
The other thing is, we ask Holy Teachers that we need to explain to them what it means. Holy Teachers say no. Teachers said when they read 100 times, they will know what it means. They don't. They automatically they're gonna know. Kids are gonna know. You don't even have to explain. And the other thing is, when they grow up, one day they're facing some kind of difficulty, challenge, some situations, something will come up on their head to help them to resolve all the issues they're gonna face.
Yeah, I mean, once they memorize it, then it's in there. It's the knowledge is already there. So they may not understand it at the time, but then later on as they grow up, they learn, and then they'll understand it. Right. Okay. So in this way, then daily progress can be made. Right. So again, it's step by step. It's not. We don't have to do cram a lot into one day or at once, just a little at a time. When I was memorizing the Mila, the Maitreya Sutra, right? I memorized like 1 line or 2 lines a day. That's it, just 2 lines a day. And when I drove to work, I would keep reciting it. When I drove back home, I kept reciting those 2 lines. Well, actually, it's not just I recite up to those 2 lines, so it's a cumulative every day. So that's how you get the whole thing.
A couple of ways you can do it. You can put it in the carts, okay, put all the stuff on the carts and carry it with you. Sometimes you go outside or maybe you have time, you can just bring the carts out and repeat, review yourself. The other thing, you can buy small recorders. Just read all those details and then into the recorder. Then you just, when you walk on the street or do something, just take a recorder with you and just play with it. So you will remember. You don't even need to remember it. Automatically, you will remember those stuff. And that's how I remember all certain things.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's I was memorizing. I didn't recognize the characters. I just memorized the sound, the pinging. So.
About the meaning.
Well, no, the meaning's a totally different issue, but.
Because they rhyme, so it's easier to memorize.
Yeah.
Okay, one rhymes with another, so it's like we're memorizing poetry.
Yeah.
It may take you a long time. It took me 3 years. Okay, so it may take you less because I have a bad memory.
So we have to put in the effort. Okay, put in effort. So that's why to memorize the English translation would be more difficult because it's kind of it's not rhyming or whatever. So it's still best to try to memorize the pinging, the sound of the original. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can learn the meaning later.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, even the translation doesn't have meaning either. You have to explain it still.
That's sorry for English-speaking people. Anytime you have translations of all the sutras, you already lose some of the meaning, by the way. Just FYI. Yeah, just for our information. We should know that any translation we're going to see that some of the meanings are lost.
Yeah.
And that's especially true with some of the more advanced level sutras. Okay, so
That's fine. At least we have a beginning, right? And starting point. Look at the whole world today. How many English class in the whole world for our temple? There's only one in USA here. Okay, in our temple, okay? Even in Asia, our temple we have in Asia, we don't have English class there. So we only have one all open here.
Some other temple, they don't have English class. They send them to learn in our class, and
So
then
we are
go
pretty
back.
lucky here.
So how lucky we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it's very important we come every week. Okay. Otherwise, why do we have this English class? Right. So everybody can have the opportunity to learn. So it's important for us to come.
Just take 30 seconds. The reason that we have this English class, lectures to do, you remember the Holy teacher call you, call me, tell us, make sure, and then also the other lectures, make sure we have this English class set up and we run these English classes, right? You remember that?
I was very lucky that day because it was a repentance class.
Yes.
So we all have to kneel in front of the Buddha and repent. Okay? And then at that time, there were very little people in the English class. So I knelt down and it was scary because the whole English class was falling on my lap. So I was very lucky that Transmitter Ling, at that time, he was still a lecturer. So he knelt down in front of the Buddha, and lecturer Tai knelt down in front of the Buddha to take some of that burden from me. I was shivering. That's how scared I was.
I did.
You did. You forgot.
I
You knelt down. Yeah, Ling Liasa first knelt down, and then you knelt
Holy
down.
teacher called the name.
Yeah.
Oh,
Call
Oh,
the
did
name.
he call the name? Oh, okay.
okay.
Make sure.
No, he didn't call the name. I knelt down, and then the holy teacher asked, who else can help in the English class? That's when Transmitter Ling stepped forward, and then Tai said, thank God somebody is
So we have
coming
this English
forward.
class, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
don't have English class, you not spread.
This was years
Especially
ago.
USA, right? We need
About
English.
10 years ago?
And we need English class. So we need to start getting out, right? Like you, especially if you speak English, if you Nepalese, we need you to help. Okay?
Okay. All right. So next.
那怎么办？
Next.
Chant the sutra whether walking, standing, sitting, or lying down.
One more.
Speak and act consciously. Restrain the delusional mind. This kind of living is simple for
It's the same.
safe for people and
Saints.
because Tao is in daily life.
Right? So he says, no matter what our posture is, whether we're walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, basically any time, it's good to chant the sutras. Okay.
So you put in the cards.
So yeah, I mean, you can get like a recording of the thing and then have it play, and then you can kind of chant along if you want. It's good. Having the sutras, I mean, it's like I don't want to say it's kind of, it can be like a talisman, where it protects you. But that, I mean, no, really, because it's the Buddhas. Yeah, I mean, they're whatever the things. So their energy,
will be
yeah.
all around us when we recite the sutras.
Sutra, yeah. I mean, I've used it in times where there's like it's almost like a possession, evil possession, and I recite it,
Yeah, it's
and it kind of dispelled that.
像陶冶圣经 open it up to interest.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
That one is
Guan Lao Ye,
super
that's Guan Lao
long.
Ye.
Yeah, that's that
See,
one.
that's
The guardian of the
Guardian.
heavenly law, the
guardian of the law.
law, yeah, law,
I
yeah.
call it guardian of the laws.
Well, his scripture, yeah.
Guan Lao Ye, right? You know who Guan Lao Ye is, right? He's the guardian. He's the primary announcer.
Yeah.
Some
Represents
people
him.
recite that.
Yeah.
Okay, so he
No,
wrote
I-
a script,
it's
a
too long.
sutra, right? It's called sutra.
Yeah.
Called Tao Yuan
名圣经.
Jing.
Yeah,
Yes,
peach
orchard.
peach
It's a
garden,
orchard
peach orchard.
scripture. 名圣那个谁
So
glorious,
holy,
bright,
yeah.
bright, yeah,
Or
bright, divine, yeah, divine, holy,
Right,
divine.
Buddha nature.
Yeah, bright, yeah, it works the word.
名圣就是往
You can say, yeah, it represents our
光佛性。
Buddha nature, right? We can say the Buddha nature, that divine nature, right? So it's very, basically it's very,
Very long.
yeah, it's long, but basically it's very, how can I say, it'll ward off evil,
Yeah,
evil
it's very,
spirits.
you can say it's powerful. I mean, basically any of these sutras, right? Whoever whichever Buddha, like maybe wrote this sutra or whatever, so when we're reciting it, we're like invoking that Buddha.
Right.
So the Buddha is there, and then so they can help protect. Yeah.
on this sutra, that's important one point. If we cannot finish all, it's fine. But every time we finish reading, we recover the reason because there are two angels next to it. So we cover them, they can let them go. So sometimes we know little things like this one because angels are next to it.
That's only for that one, the Taoya means
And then a lot of people maybe they don't feel good, they are sick. This is the one they should read every day. Okay? People get sick, did not feel good. This is what's very good.
I remember a few years ago when Kai, me, transmitted Zen, Chu Jiansi and Long Dian Chansi. We went to, remember we drove from Ohio to Iowa?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was during a really icy snowstorm.
It was during a blizzard.
Yeah,
It was during a
blizzard.
blizzard.
But it was only supposed to
No,
be
it's from
3-hour
Kansas.
drive.
Yeah.
I thought
It
you
took
guys-
5
us
hours.
6
Yeah.
6
half a day.
hours,
Yeah.
okay? And it was so scary because all the cars were crashing and we were sliding and we were screaming in the car.
On the road,
Wow.
you know that?
Kai and transmitted Zen was
We
taking
drove.
turns.
Yeah, we drove.
And then Chu Jiansi and Zhen Liansi, they memorized that long sutra. So they started, we don't know about it. So the two of them keep reciting, and then we got there, okay, in
one piece.
One piece. I will never
Well,
forget that
There were
trip.
no problems. We didn't have any problems.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't have any problem. Everybody was crashing and sliding, and it was all icy.
Yeah, it was blizzard. It was during
That was
blizzard.
from
Crazy.
Kansas,
Yeah, it was
not from
crazy.
Ohio.
No, it's from Kansas.
Oh,
to
from
Iowa.
Kansas, yeah,
Kansas
Kansas to Iowa. I
We were
forgot.
driving along the blizzard, and they said, "Don't go out, don't go out." But then we saw trucks, cars
Yeah.
flipped over on the
Wow.
highway, on the side.
It was
On the
so
road.
scary.
Flipped over. What's going on?
How many hours of drive?
Well, normally it should take about 3 hours. Normal.
Yeah.
It took us twice. We drove a little slower.
And they were so worried in Iowa. They were waiting and waiting for us. And we finally got there.
Yeah. So yeah. So these sutras are they can be very powerful. I mean, and useful in those situations. Okay. So it's good to at least memorize one of them so that you can use it. So like I said, I used it once. It's kind of like because my mother was in the hospital in the ICU and looked like she was possessed or something. I don't know, something weird. So then I started thinking I better recite the sutra. I recite all, 3 of them, right? The Heart Sutra, the Purity and Stillness Sutra, and the Maitreya Sutra. Okay, so all 3. But anytime I recited it, then she'd calm down, and so it does have an effect. You have to be, sincere, and all that. But yeah, it does work. So okay. So let's see, where are we? Okay, so no matter where we are, we can, at least we can listen to the sutras. We can chant along. When we speak, okay, so part of, the precepts, they apply to our actions, to our speech, to even our, our attitude, our, the things in our mind. And so we have to speak and act cautiously, okay? So we don't want to create karma, right? Since we all know about karma, the cause and effect, so we need to be more careful that we don't unnecessarily offend people and create karma, bad karma, okay? Restrain the delusional mind. So this is, important too, that we all have, sometimes we have crazy thoughts, we have, desires, all sorts of things pop up that maybe they aren't healthy or they aren't positive, they aren't good. So we have to try to get rid of those. And okay, so this kind of living. Okay, so basically, saints. The saints of in history. The saints, Buddhas, sages. They all cultivate like this. So everyone, if we can cultivate like that, then it's the same way that the saints all cultivated too. All right. And because I mentioned earlier, the Tao is in daily life. Okay, so that's something that we always have to remember, that the principles we learn here apply to our daily life. Okay, if we only know how to apply it in the temple, then we don't know the principles. We don't understand it. Okay, so we have to know how to apply what we learn here in our everyday life, in everyday situations that we deal with, and people that we deal with. Okay, all right. Okay. All right, so let's continue. Next.
Not eat just anything after supper. Water and fruit sticks in the notebook, reflect on each and every one, and start anew every day.
Okay. Yeah, so some people have maybe a bad habit of, after supper, after dinner, maybe they're staying up late, and so they feel a little bit hungry. They want to eat some munchies or whatever, snack. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so after dinner we should not be eating anything. So he's just saying, maybe fruit, okay, and water. That's it. All right. So don't try to, a lot of people, they have I don't know, they like the midnight, I don't know, they eat, what is that, some xiaoye, right?
No, but
Well, I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's like a tradition.
It's not just Chinese culture, European culture.
They do that too?
No,
Okay.
Italian.
thing is, people that eat
Spanish.
the after dinner meal, they don't eat breakfast, so they switch
Oh,
it to the
so instead of breakfast, they eat
Because I
that?
know somebody
So they
that,
mess up the whole-
they don't eat breakfast, but they must eat before they go to bed. Otherwise, they cannot sleep. It's all habits, bad habits.
Yeah. Yeah, if we eat too much before going to sleep, it's an easy way to get fat. It's an easy way to get fat, actually.
We have a food in the stomach. What happens?
We cannot digest the food, and we sleep with all that food in our stomach. It becomes toxic.
That's the other problem we are facing. So Holy Teacher did mention to us, if we didn't eat anything, because usually we're supposed to be at the bed by 11, okay? If we did not finish the dinner before 8, Holy Teacher suggests us take an apple.
Apple.
Yeah, and that's don't eat too much after 8. That's what the Holy Teacher
Yeah,
suggests.
apple is a good idea.
Yeah.
Apple.
Yeah.
You add one apple.
Don't eat orange.
Apple.
No, that will upset his stomach.
Try to have dinner as soon as
Apple
earlier.
upset mine too, 'cause it's so
Don't eat too much.
hard.
If we're hungry at night, maybe
I-
water,
if I'm
use the water or maybe a
hungry,
little.
drink.
Yeah.
I will drink
Yeah.
Good for health. Good for health.
liquidy.
We don't fear. You go young, don't fear. People get older, they know the difference.
Yeah.
Or if you get hungry, you can make yourself a cup or a bowl of oatmeal, but not too thick. Like make it like watery, so it's easier to come out. Okay, and you still fill your stomach.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, sometimes I just go to bed hungry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me because after a little while, you don't feel hungry anymore. Yeah, you don't feel hungry, so you can just let it pass. It's actually better for our health to be hungry sometimes, not always full. Always full, it's bad. It's not good.
Why is it better to be hungry for us? Why? Because we have a lot of
Fat deposits
stuff inside the body, right?
Ah.
Once we are hungry, start to
to eat up the fat.
Yeah.
Well, you go burn up some of the
Burn up the
It's
fat.
good for our body in this case. But we always full, we are in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you see when we get sick, because we always full
Yeah.
so much.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we don't
overeating.
eat too much, always clean our body. A lot of stuff can come out.
Yeah.
So that's also the other
Right.
thing we need to
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is like, we rather be hungry and go to bed and have rest. Because if we are too full, then our body would be trying to digest the food.
Yeah, it's hard to
Well,
sleep
yeah,
like that
we-
too.
we won't have a good
You also gain weight much faster.
Yeah, right.
You're
Right.
not burning up all the calorie you
Right.
consume.
And the other thing you need to check, we eat big lunch here. In the afternoon class, a lot of people fell asleep.
Yes. Yeah.
But if people are a little hungry, they will not
Right.
fell asleep.
Right.
That's a big difference. You can pay attention and
Yeah.
check out.
So lunchtime don't eat so much.
Yeah.
That's the
After is good for walking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the best is to walk after you eat. Like dinner time, after you
Take
eat
a walk.
dinner, you go out for a walk. And then when you come home, you will feel so energetic.
And then Buddha said, walk 30 minutes every day. A lot of disease, a lot of illness will be gone. Will be gone. Okay, at least 30 minutes, hopefully 1 hour. And if you can do 30 minutes, at least a lot of problems.
Walking is the best exercise.
Right.
Yeah, it's easy on your
30
knees.
minutes,
Okay.
at least.
Knees are killing you.
Right. Okay. And then so we also want to, it says, record our faults, right, and mistakes in the notebook. So basically, at the end of the day, you can reflect on what we did today. Maybe we made some mistakes, some things, maybe people have pointed things out. If they didn't point it out, we have to reflect and figure out and realize ourselves what we should have done better, maybe. things like that. So again, this is all self-reflection. It's a time to reflect before we go to sleep. Reflect on the things that we did and what we could have done better, so that we can improve, right?
Holy teacher did teach us one method to get two piggyback, right? And then when you do good things today, put one in the good side, on the other one. Sometimes we didn't do well, put on the other one. Okay, and 3 months later.
Put what? You gotta explain. Put what?
Put the money, the quarter or dollar, up to you. Okay.
Me?
Okay. Put into the big bag, and then 3 months later, you see which side is more, which side has more. Then also, teacher said this side we can check what we have, or which area we need to improve. In the meantime, 3 months later, we can even do the donation, become our members. So Holy Teacher teach us how to do it. Okay, let's try. Everybody's different ways. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So next, Christine.
Have I overcome envy? Have I become defensive over my shortcomings? Have I slacked off, become superficial, arrogant, phony, and delusional?
Yeah. So right. So these are things that we want to kind of get rid of, right? Envy, jealousy. When good things happen to people, when they, they're very fortunate, whatever, we should be happy for them, right? Instead of becoming jealous or envious. Also, we tend to get defensive when people point out something, a shortcoming of ours or fault in our, that we get very defensive about it. But yeah, we need to kind of let that go. So be able to gladly accept the criticism or advice, because they're not, well, usually they're not just being malicious. I mean, they're trying to help us point out, this is something. I mean, of course, how they say it, how we say it, we can say it in a good way. Try not to upset or offend the person too much, but. When we get that, we should reflect and accept it, and then reflect on that and try to, if we do have a fault, usually we don't see our faults. That's right. So, having so having other people point it out to us is important. So that's why Holy Teacher just say we should try to have like at least three friends who can be honest with us, tell us honestly what. Areas that we need to improve in. Okay, so
it's important because they try to be honest with us. Then once we say we don't want to be their friend. So we need to have a broad, open heart, an open mind. People need to tell us means they are our friends.
Yeah.
Okay?
But when we tell somebody their little whatever mistakes that they made, we do it discreetly alone.
Yeah.
We not do it in
we don't want to
the crowd
embarrass them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when they will get upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to be discreet.
Yeah.
You have to have discretion.
Right.
Right.
Discretion.
Okay. And then.
So you have to be mindful.
Right.
Yeah.
Where.
Some people are very direct.
Yeah.
I mean, they just speak it up. Yeah. I mean, they may have malicious intent.
Right.
But
it comes out that way.
And that's embarrassing.
Right.
For her. And that's going to be contrary to your good
Right.
intentions.
Right.
See, so that's why we always have to be mindful.
Right.
Be aware. That's important. Be aware of the situation.
Sure.
Right.
And also, we got to be careful how we listen to it, okay? We cannot take everything negatively. Instead, try to take it positively.
Right.
That they are trying to help us, and thank them for suggesting that we make the mistake or correction.
Right. Okay. And then so the other things like have I slacked off, right? Becoming a little bit lazy or procrastinating, putting things off. So still got to maintain that diligence. Put in the effort every day. Becoming superficial, right? Superficial is just kind of like doing things just on the surface, right? So I'm just doing it without the real intention, just because, my mom, my parents tell me to do it, so I just do it, go through the motions, and that's it. But, it's, again, everything is mind and action, right? Mind and action together, right? So it's not just one or the other. So it's our mind, our attitude, our what's in our mind and heart is important too. Okay, it should follow. It should be the same. And of course, arrogant, we shouldn't be too proud. We shouldn't, arrogance means then we start looking down on other people as well. So these are bad attitudes. Although that's not exactly one of the three poisons, but it's still, these are, that type of attitude, the arrogance leads to, you can say it leads to hell. I mean, a lot of them do. We need, because everyone is equal. We're all Buddha nature, okay? So it doesn't matter, one person has, high education, the other one doesn't. We shouldn't look at that. That's being superficial, okay? That's looking on the outside, really. That's not really what's the true heart, okay? Yeah.
Well, FYI, arrogance is part of the five, what call the 五惑 or 五钝事, five dull vices.
Dull.
Yeah, 五钝事. Yeah, five dull vices. It's more like part of our temperament. Okay, but the five, the five, right? Three of them are the three poisons. The first three. The second one is arrogance, and then the last one, the fifth one is doubt. It's called five dull vices.
Right. Yeah. So, okay.
It's in their list. It's in the
Right.
list.
And then being phony, of course, means we're fake, right? so that's like
Insincere.
more. Yeah, we're insincere. So maybe it's similar to the other one, but it's a little bit more severe, I guess. And then delusional, of course. Again, all sorts of crazy ideas and things that, or maybe we might think. I'm so great, whatever, those could be all delusional, okay? So we have to get rid of all that, all right? Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, I think we kind of talked about the next one, but who's
next?
Cindy? Yeah.
And I,
Have I gladly accepted criticism? Have I a magnanimous heart? Have I praised the virtues and concealed the faults of others? Give my credit to others while taking the blame and being more humble?
Yeah, so again, okay, so we talked about being able to accept the criticism and also, have a big open heart, mind, right? Broad-minded, a magnanimous heart, be tolerant. This way, we can be harmonious with people. Have I praised the virtues and concealed the faults of others, right? So this is, so when we see that someone is virtuous or they did some good deeds and stuff, we can say, look, this is an example of a good deed or something, or of a virtue, okay? And we don't want to, publicize, let everyone know, oh, this person did has a bad habit, or they do something wrong, made mistakes, or have some faults, right? We don't want to do that. Again, we have to let, because then that, again, that's what we just talked about. Maybe they can become defensive, okay? So we want to do it discreetly, directly with them, okay, to let them know so that they have a way to correct, okay. And then give credit to others while taking the blame. Yeah, this is very hard to do sometimes. So even though, let's say, I did something good, but then I can say, oh, this other person actually did it. Let's say maybe working together, whatever, and then the other person did it, but then if there was a mistake or something, be able to say, I did it. That's very hard to do. That's very hard to do.
I did that once.
Accept blame, right?
When I first came into the temple in the very beginning, there was some stuff going on, and they thought that I had told these other groups of people about it, and they all accused me, and I didn't say anything until his mom personally asked me. I said, no, I would not do such a thing. She goes, no, I didn't think you're the type of person that would do that. So I did not say, I don't need to explain to anybody. As long as heaven knows, that's all that's needed.
how do you call that? Virtue.
Well, at that time, I didn't even learn any principles. I just did not argue with anybody. I said, they blame me, I don't care. Heaven knows I did not do such a thing. Right?
Yeah. Ultimately, we are ultimately our virtues and our merits and faults are judged by heaven. People may judge us, but we can ignore that. I mean, if they're criticizing us for something, I mean, we still have to reflect on that, self-reflect. Okay, see, yeah, have I done that or whatever? If we know we haven't, that's okay. We still accept it. In fact, if we can do that, then like Transmitter Lin says, it's part of our virtue, and we've actually reduced our karmic debts. So it's a good thing.
Because you're not creating.
Yeah, you're not
going against.
Yeah, right.
See, so that's totally contrary to the way we were brought up. Right? You always have to, go. Meet your challenge.
Yeah.
Right? Always, you come something, it's dialectical.
Yeah, right.
See, so by doing this, it becomes non-dialectical.
Yeah.
Get it?
That is actually.
That's the way of the Buddha.
That is the way of Tao. Yeah, that is Tao. I mean,
Tao.
the
Yeah,
principle
you
of
can say
Tao.
that's
That's how it works. Okay.
Tao Te Ching said that.
Right. Okay.
Our predecessor doing this very well.
Huh? Oh, our predecessor. Yeah.
Because
gotta follow his
he
way.
always get a lot of people say something behind him, but he didn't defend himself.
Yeah.
But you know what happened later on? Holy teacher defend for him during the Tao class. Okay, so
it's not necessary to defend, you
Yeah.
know. Everybody has their own mindset. You're gonna go and tell everybody, okay? It's not necessary. As long as heaven knows, that's all
Right.
that's needed.
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
not easy,
Yeah.
but we have to do it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's part of the third paramita.
Yeah. Forbearance.
Yeah, you're in root.
Forbearance.
That's
Tolerance.
the third one.
You
Remember
know.
the third one? My first one is charity. Second one is sijie.
Yeah.
That's to
Yeah.
follow the precepts.
Discipline. Yeah.
Or uphold the precepts.
Right.
The third one is what? Then root.
Right.
You do for
That's
it.
important.
Yeah.
Right.
Forbearance. Being able to.
That's tough. It's not easy, but it's important.
Right. That kind of. Yeah. It's like the refinement of our character. It helps us refine our character.
It's all cultivation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So who's next? Okay.
I never find my state of mind and forbearance, put in the effort to be optimistic and cheerful all the time. After all, we must be earnest and cultivating. Not repeating a mistake is a virtuous and outstanding person.
Right. So that's what we were just saying, right? So again, our state of mind is very important. Everything starts from the mind. Okay. So one thought is one reincarnation, right? So we have to be careful what our thoughts are.
That's what
Okay.
Buddha said.
Yeah. So that's why it's best to have no thoughts. Okay. But yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then so put in the effort. We have to try to be optimistic and cheerful all the time, right? So even though maybe in a bad situation, again, try to look on the positive, the optimistic. The glass is half full rather than half empty. This is also it's very contagious. Right. So when we're cheerful and all that, other people will feel it, and it's good. So it's the same thing. Even if we're negative, others feel that too. So obviously we want to try to make everything feel positive and cheerful. So that's a better attitude, and it's more helpful too. Okay, so and then so of course so then we want to be earnest in our cultivating. Okay, so don't repeat. Right, so if we don't repeat a mistake, right, then we would be considered a virtuous and outstanding person. Right?
Especially if we repent.
Yeah, especially after repentance, then we definitely should not repeat it. It's not like
the sin will be double or triple.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful.
Right. So it's not like we go to the priest and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
what is it called?
Absolution.
Absolution." Yeah. And so and then say so many Hail Marys and all that. But if we go out and do it again, then it's meaningless, right? Then that means we're not sincere. Okay, so everything, heaven or the Buddhas, they look at how sincere we are, right? So being truthful, not just to other people, being truthful to ourselves. Okay, so if we are saying one thing and doing another afterwards, then that's not being truthful. Okay, not being sincere to anyone. We're just fooling ourselves. Okay, so okay. Any I guess we'll and.
The
Or
last
else,
one.
Oh,
we
oh, okay.
continue with the old habits and learn and perfunctory life. A bleak future awaits, and we will sink into the bitter sea. Disciples of Holy Teacher must think of sentient beings. How can we tolerate the folks that follow us around?
Right. So yeah, if we don't follow the precepts, if we don't practice, we don't cultivate, then this is just we follow our own habits, old habits. A perfunctory life it's basically like we're just going through the motions. So we won't have a good future. Okay, so we'll just be sinking further and further into this bitter sea of life, which basically it'll be reincarnation. And so as disciples of the Holy Teacher, we have to think of all sentient beings, right? So, how can we go and help them if we have our own faults and we don't correct our own faults, right? So all these faults that follow us around, right? These are our own faults that we need to correct. People will see our behavior. If they see the faults, then we're telling them, this thing's, we should cultivate. But if we don't cultivate, then we're hypocrites and they're not going to listen to us anyway. So again, everything starts from correcting our own self. Okay. All right. So let's try to finish this.
Who's next?
Let's see the next.
Joe, after Joe is who?
Oops.
Joe finished.
What's the next one here?
Kyle.
It's the second page. What?
Second page.
Oh, yeah. Whoever.
Kyle, your name?
Oh, Kyle. Yeah.
Be mindful of expectations of our ancestors. Be mindful of teachers' virtues and heavenly grace. Think of, I don't know what that is.
Oh, sorry. Typo. Sorry.
Think of sentient beings of loving kindness. Think of Russian to one's favorite.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So we should always be mindful, especially thinking of. I mean, when we're cultivating, or no matter what we're doing, it's not just reflect on ourselves, but our ancestors, right? We want to honor our ancestors. Then, therefore, we need to cultivate well, right? Of course, we also need to be appreciative, grateful, right, of our holy teacher or any of the masters, their virtues and heaven's grace. We always say that, right, in class. So that's always something we always have to be grateful and appreciate what we have. Okay, and then think of all sentient beings with loving kindness. Okay, so all sentient beings, you can say they're from the enlightened point of view, they're all kind of lost in this world. They're all pursuing, the selfish desires, things like that, things for the self. So they're lost. They're not enlightened yet. So we need to think of them. Try to help them, guide them towards enlightenment. And then we should be kind of rushing towards our this future. I mean, we set a goal. We have to have an aspiration to want to cultivate, to want to. Become enlightened, be like Buddhas, saints and Buddhas. And so, that's the future that we should be rushing towards. Okay.
You could say rushing.
But
I would phrase it differently. I would explain it differently. Maybe this, that. Think of it, it's the direction we're heading. That's the better line. Because all the sutras, all the dharmas, all the teachings, dharmas, are pointing us to that direction, to that proper direction. You can say, basically, the Buddha direction, the direction of Buddhahood, essentially. I mean, that if you really want to be more specific, understand? So that's the direction that we should be following. Get it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Don't have to say
Right.
direction.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
More like a direction.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. Eric.
Definitely start diligently cultivating
Oh,
soon.
this is the Bible.
When we can be pure and still, heaven and man are
I
joyful.
wrote this one.
Then make obeisance to the altar of Lambu, God, repent our faults with a true heart.
Yeah. So of course, yeah. So again, reminding us that we have to be diligently, put in the effort to cultivate. when we can be pure and still, right? So, yeah, we want to achieve kind of a state of purity and stillness. Basically, the letting go of all karmic affinities and not giving rise to a single thought. So that's like the state of Buddha's mind, okay, is like that state. And so when we are in that state of purity and stillness, then we have infinite wisdom, okay? So the wisdom, naturally, we can draw on that wisdom, that innate wisdom to apply in our everyday life, okay, in whatever situation that we're in. And so, making obeisance is, like praying or bowing to God, okay, Lamu. And we want to repent with a true heart, of course, with sincerity, okay? So when we do repent, we should be sincere about it, all right? Okay. All right, let's see, next.
At the end of each month, do the document, report afterwards to heaven, henceforth cultivate rigorously. Before going to sleep, abide in the first treasure and still the mind. Self-reflection to restore the bright virtues.
Yeah, so, okay, so now, burning the document, I mean, that's a little bit more formal, right? You have a repentance document that you write all your faults, things that you want to correct, and then you burn it at the altar. But, I mean, we don't have to do it, we don't have to be so formal. Just at least in our heart and mind, we can do that. We can just kneel before the altar and we can, repent. Okay, so he says like every month we should do that. Actually, if we have a temple or whatever, we do the morning and evening vows. That includes repentance in there. Okay, so that's something we have to remind ourselves. We know that we should be repenting. Okay, and so once we do repent, of course, we should not repeat. Those things that we just repented, okay, those faults. So we have to remind ourselves constantly in that regard, okay. Before we go to sleep, of course, just basically, we can do that again. Do the letting go of karmic affinities, not giving rise to single thought. This is kind of, we can focus or abide in that first treasure, okay. So we still keep our mind still, okay. Try to empty our mind. Not have all sorts of these wandering, these thoughts in our mind, and then self-reflect, right? So we need to self-reflect. The more we self-reflect, the brighter our virtue. I mean, one thing is that we find our own faults, okay, and then everything is directed inward, right? We direct outward, okay? Everything is directed outward. But we want to reflect back in, right? So that is kind of like the way of the Tao. How we can become enlightened is to look in, right? Look within. Don't look at the faults of other people. We look at our own faults. That's how we can correct ourselves, cultivate, okay? And then that's how we can gradually brighten our virtues. Yeah.
Does anybody know what means? How do we abide in our first treasure, Sopshen? How do we do that? Does anybody know? No? I mean, what does it mean? What does it mean? Let's start from the basics. What does it mean? Abide by first. I can't hold it, right? It's invisible, wasn't it? If you know the three treasures. But see, that's how can I say? Yeah, that's cool. It's not. See, we should not think too literally. This text, okay? We should not take things too literally, okay? Actually, when you say social, I talked about in the Chinese class, in the three treasures class. What it really means is to constantly, always be mindful or aware of our Buddha nature. That's really what it means. It's not literally that cross or whatever the heck, that thing. That doesn't mean that, because it doesn't make sense. I mean, how do you abide by that cross? It's not very meaningful. Get it? So it just really means is we have to be constant. 常住正心. That's Sutra. That's really what it means. We always have to be aware and mindful. Or in other words, we always have to be. So if we're in that mode, in that state, then you are basically a Buddha. You are a Buddha. All right? So that's what it means by cultivating the three treasures or cultivating the first treasure.
Yeah, I mean to get into that state, we have to not have those thoughts, right? The conscious thoughts or delusional thoughts, any of those things. That's why actually if we empty our mind, I mean, not completely, not true empty, is the mindfulness is the mindfulness of the Buddha nature, okay? The Buddha nature awareness, okay? It's not our conscious mind.
Right.
That part.
Mindful of your breathing.
Yeah.
None of that.
Right. So basically, letting the Buddha nature be in charge. Okay. So.
Okay. It's it's opposite of what we are brought up. We're brought up to be you still your mind, but then you're mindful of. You're still mind, but you're not that. But we're mindful of our senses. I could hear a sound. I could sense. Hot, cold, whatever. See, that's the wrong approach, because that's from the external side. Actually, if you guys want to go, if we want to be more advanced, we have to start with the first step, which is to empty our minds. Empty our minds. What do I mean by empty? Not to use our conscious thoughts. It's not easy. It's not easy, because we're brought up to be using our conscious thoughts. Right? We're brought up that way, to be mindful of our conscious thoughts, of our thoughts, our sensations, etc. So the key is you have to let it go, drop. And then, once you can be still, calm, tranquil state of mind, that means to abide by the first treasure. That's what it means. Then, there's a second part to it. There's a second step. Then you expand it out. Then you become aware of everything. That's really, I'm just summarizing the Ergen Yuan Tong Wu, what's that?
Penetration. Perfect penetration. Perfect
penetration
of
your portal. That's in the Surabaya Sutra. That's what Guan Yin Avalokitesvara said about her technique. You can say it's a technique of how she approached. So first she stilled her mind. She stilled her mind. Now she has no mind. She has no conscious mind. No conscious mind. And then once she's pure, clear, tranquil, right, calm, pure, then it expands to encompass everything. Then she be aware of the sound. In her case, she used the sound, aware of the sound. You get it? So she became aware. So that's the opposite way. You get it? How we do it. I mean, there's another meaning to that six. It's to what? That approach is to break the 6 knots too. 六节, 6 knots. But that's more advanced. That's it. You guys can go talk. It's in here. It's in here. It's in the list. So you guys we can look it up and reference it.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's continue the next one. The guy.
No, Eric.
Oh, no, Eric just did it.
Oh, he did?
Huh?
Mundane, right?
No. Oh, did Guy just read it? No, Guy didn't read it. Guy has. Oh, you did? Oh.
Very loud.
Duty in each way, or though practice naturally becomes
Stronger.
each day, but there are few
Points.
to keep in mind.
That's perseverance and conscientiousness. Conscientiousness, yeah. Okay, well, okay, so these, right. These 2 points, basically, perseverance is like forbearance, being able, patience, being able to just continue, determination, right? To just keep going with it. Okay, so don't give up. In other words,
keep progressing.
Keep
improving.
Right. Conscientiousness is more like the effort, the more diligent effort put into it. Okay, earnest.
The two are kind of related.
Yeah, sincere effort.
Sincere.
Yeah, so if any kind of practice, right? Obviously, we have to concentrate and put in the effort, be sincere about it. If we don't do that, then we're not going to. With the practice, we probably won't succeed as much or do as well, right? So those are 2 important things, and of course we can't give up. All right, we don't. we don't just give up halfway, and say, oh, it's too hard. So that we will never succeed if we give up, right?
So there's basically, you could say, it's diligent and sincere, right? Diligent, the perseverance part, the diligent, you keep moving forward in spite of any obstacles, difficulties, hardships, etc., challenges, whatever. You still don't give up. In other words, you don't give up.
Right.
You still want to achieve Buddha.
Right.
Okay, period. Right, no matter. Okay, and then conscientiousness is the sincerity. You can say it's the sincerity. It's the focus. It's the concentration.
Right.
You can also say it also means concentration, meaning meditation. It could mean meditation too. All right, means that you want to have it. Focus, but calm, clear, tranquil mind. No thoughts. If people say, "Oh, conscientious," then we always have thoughts. Yeah. At the surface level, that's what it means. But eventually, when you go to it becomes the mind of no mind. That's too advanced. Okay, but that's what it means.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So just keep that in mind as we cultivating and practicing every day. Okay. Okay, so next, let's see.
Without resolve, this one?
Yeah.
Without resolve and concentration, there is no stability.
Sporadic, yeah.
It leads to loss of direction and focus. Actively use wisdom, benevolence, and courage. Very oneself.
Yeah, so like we were just saying, perseverance, right? We have to have that resolve and then have that determination, right? The concentration, the focus on doing something, okay? So without that, then, it could be, so then it follows like, if we have sporadic effort, in other words, we do things in starts and spurts and, it's like, oh, we do it today and then tomorrow we stop and then, we have breaks. So that's why it should be kind of a continuous, everyday routine that we don't want to break that routine. Then it becomes, easier actually over time, right? If we have a constant routine, so that we don't lose that direction and focus, okay? But we also need to use, apply the wisdom that we have. The wisdom, these three things: wisdom, benevolence, and courage. Okay, so wisdom, of course, everything that we do, we should, we might do good deeds, but if we don't use our wisdom, that good deed might turn out to be not so good, or it may, so. We have to use wisdom properly in applying to everything that we do. All right, so that
Which wisdom?
This is the innate wisdom, the Buddha nature wisdom.
Mahaprajna. Well, that's the highest. But by the way, those three terms are the Confucian, called Confucian virtues or something like that.
These three.
Three Confucius virtues. Yeah. You know that?
Right.
Yeah. 知人勇.
Yeah.
The three Confucian virtues.
And then, of course, benevolence or compassion or, humanity towards everything, right? So you can say, expand that to like mercy and, all that to others, right? To all, applied to all situations and all living beings. Courage, of course, we have to have the courage to be able to,
persevere. You have to
of course,
right. You have to that courage to overcome all.
Be able to overcome things.
Don't give up.
Right.
Be courageous. Say that, hey, you want to achieve, you go, no matter what.
Right.
In this one lifetime, that's it. Be a Buddha. Once you do that in the lifetime, you don't have to worry about in the future.
Right.
You're a Buddha. Doesn't matter.
Right.
It's okay.
Right. So the courage is also, not just facing the external, but also towards ourselves. Be able to overcome our own faults. Courage to change. Right, because a lot of times we don't like to change, right? Change is kind of uncertain, but we need to have that courage to be able to change ourselves, okay? Transform ourselves. So when we're just, we're not with other people or whatever, we vary ourselves. We cultivate, we try to transform ourselves, to elevate ourselves. But when we're others, right, when we're doing things, then we essentially ferrying other people, doing things for others, okay? Being a benefit to other people and try to ferry them, try to get them on this path, right, to enlightenment as well, to transcend this cycle of reincarnation, the samsara, right, get them out of that. Okay, so two aspects, right? We kind of transform ourselves, ferry ourselves, and then help transform and ferry other people. Okay, so those we both have to do. So one is internal, the other one's external. All right. Okay. All right. Next, Kai.
Nurturing compassion and pity leads to a loving heart. Smile constantly and spread the truth like a broadcast station. Follow seniors and guide juniors to transform the world.
Yeah. So, again, compassion and pity, right, or mercy for others, for all living beings. That's showing we have loving kindness in our heart, right? So we all treat everyone well as equals, and when they're in need, we help them. Especially, most people, maybe some people, they don't think they're in need, but it's just that they're misguided, you can say. Ignorant, we say ignorant or unenlightened, but kind of misguided in their pursuit of all the material things like that. But we want to try to help them become enlightened. Okay, so use our compassion, use a loving kindness to that, and so
like all these hurricanes that's affected all the people in Texas and Florida. Mm-hmm. Look how neighbors helping neighbors. They're not only helping themselves, they're helping everybody that they see. Look at all these people that's going around trying to save as many people as they can during the flood.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. They have that show of you can say compassion to help other people in time of need. But that's kind of, you can say it's like temporary. Right. It's based on an emotion. It's based on they have sympathy or whatever. We have to go beyond that. I mean, that's good, but again, it's temporary and it could change. Okay, so it's conditional.
Right.
So compassion from that true heart is absolute. You can say it's absolute. It's unconditional. It's unconditional.
So remember the 4 immeasurable minds? That's what we should be, because our Buddha nature, you can say, what is the characteristics of our Buddha nature? Look at the 4 immeasurable minds. So it's non-conditioned, or we call it infinite loving kindness, compassion, mercy, equanimity, and joy. Joy. But that's the joy. That's the non-dualistic joy. Yeah. It's the what does that mean by joy? We have to. That joy means that you want others to be happy. That's what it means. That joy is to give others joy. Make sense? To give others joy. That's the 4 immeasurable minds. That's our Buddha nature. So if we're always mindful of that, people say, what's our Buddha nature? What's our Buddha? Remember the 4 immeasurable minds. That's very important. Because once you understand that, then it becomes easier to say, that's how I can have compassion always. Always. Not just because, there's a disaster. I feel pity. Because that means what? No disaster? You don't feel pity? That doesn't make sense. See, that's not the immeasurable mind. The immeasurable mind is always. That's why we call it immeasurable mind. Liang Xi, right? That's very important. For immeasurable mind, you have to know what it means.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So and then. So smile, right? Smile constantly, right? Spread the truth like a broadcast station. So, we obviously we want to spread the truth, okay? But we'll always have a smile on our face. We're always try to be cheerful, upbeat, right? Because that people see that and they react in a good way to that. All right, so
a smile is a merit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to put in so much effort. Just smile.
Yes. Right.
And when we smile, good fortunes will be around us. The Buddhas will be around us, and it's contagious.
Yeah, and it affects other people in a good way, positive way, right? And then, so follow the seniors and guide the juniors, okay, to transform the world. Okay, so there's obviously, everyone's involved, on this mission. We want to help people, help the world, transform the world. But there's also kind of like a process or it's a certain, like one of the proprieties or precepts, right? And you still have to follow the rules.
Respecting
the seniors
and guiding the juniors.
Right. So, we still have to follow that kind of, it's like a chain of command, but and whatever we do, essentially follow the rules and regulations when we do it. Okay, and then so you don't have just chaotic, just doing things any way you like. So we have to do it the proper way. Okay. Okay. And next.
Diligently put in extra effort day and night. Cultivate internal and external merit equally. Some days attain the highest level of lotus platform. Heaven and man together, sincerely joyful.
Okay. So again, constantly reminding us that we need to put in that diligent, that effort. Okay. So all day, day and night. The internal and external merits, right? We need to cultivate. So the internal aspect, of course, is in our heart and mind, right? So getting rid of the three poisons, right? Greed, anger, and you can say ignorance. Okay. And actually, we also need to get rid of the four images, four marks, the self, the
ego,
the ego, personality,
sentient beings, and life.
And life, yeah. And also, the other aspect is let go of the three minds, the past, present, and future. Okay, those things as well. So it's that kind of covers everything. So let go of all attachments, things like that. All right. So that's the internal. Get rid of our, correct our faults or bad habits, right? Get rid of a bad temper. Okay, so those are all internal stuff. The external, of course, then we maybe as part of that, the internal practice, correcting our faults, things like that, or we do good things, right? We do good deeds of benefit. As long as we're benefiting sentient beings, others, then that's doing the external part. Then we get the external merits. Okay, the internal we talk about virtues. External is like the merits. Okay, so we have to do both, right? We can't just sit at home and just cultivate myself and just ignore the world. We have to help the world too. Okay, so help others. So that's the external. And so one day we will attain, the highest level of the lotus platform, right? So all the Buddhas, they have a lotus platform. If we return to heaven, we all have a lotus platform. Well, that's if we have enough merits, virtues and merits, okay? And then so heaven and man together, right? We have a sincere joy, okay? Okay.
Well, that means we're one.
We become one.
Sure. Even though we are still in this physical world.
Yeah, we can
it's
still.
Like we're being, it's like creating paradise in this world.
Right.
It's basically in this world in this
form.
Yeah, in this world of form.
Right.
In this physical world.
Yeah. So
we all say, heaven is. Not physical, right? So basically, if you could achieve that, then we can say achieve paradise on earth.
Right, yeah. Because we are all one with our Buddha nature. We're all following. We're all like saints and Buddhas. So obviously, it doesn't matter where we are, right? We don't have to die and then go to heaven, right? So if we are like the saint and Buddha, then no matter where we are, that's like heaven. Okay. So
heaven is there.
Right.
It's present.
Okay. Next. Let's see. There's two more, right? Okay. Oh, okay. You want to read? Oh, okay. You can do it, right?
Okay. Requite the grace of parents for the upbringing. Reciprocate the painstaking effort of predecessors. When our ancestors and descendants transcend, we can be considered with having put in our best effort.
Right. Of course, it's part of our cultivation too, filial piety, right? So we have to repay the grace of our parents in bringing us up, raising us, okay? That's, from the Buddhas, they say that's the number one virtue that we have to work on. And then reciprocate the painstaking efforts of our predecessors, all those who came before us to, make this Tao available. We need to kind of, you can say also kind of pay back in kind as well, is also for us to, in other words, not let it be in vain, because they sacrificed a lot, right? So their teachings, their guidance for us, to take that and, really, that's why we have to be diligent or earnest about cultivating, making the best of it, right? So we don't want to let them down, right? Because they left behind all these good teachings for us that they expect and they want us to become enlightened and become Buddhas and saints too. So we should not let them down. We should put in the effort to really do that, okay? And then, of course, once we can succeed, if we succeed, our ancestors and descendants will also, at least our ancestors, right? Those who have already deceased, they can also transcend as well. Okay, I mean, if we want to do it directly, we can uplift, okay, but that's kind of harder to do. But eventually, when we leave this world, our ancestors also, also can leave and actually go to heaven. That's actually the case, yeah. Okay, and then, so then that's actually, then we're considered as having put in our true effort, okay, the best effort. So, if we don't cultivate well and we don't end up in heaven or whatever, then obviously our ancestors aren't going up either. So they depend on us, right? So we don't want to be a disappointment to them. Right? Okay, so the last one, hurry to Nanping. That's the Nanping Mountain, which is basically Jigong Buddha, our holy teacher's world. Okay,
yeah, that's a Buddha land.
That's
a Buddha world.
Yeah, Buddha.
Yeah, Buddhas can create their own world.
Yeah, his pure land, I guess. And make obeisance to our holy teacher. So we bow to our holy teacher, revere our holy teacher, return straight to absolute heaven, and make obeisance to our heavenly mother, to God. Okay, heavenly positions will be determined at the Longhua Assembly, free and unfettered for 10,800 years in absolute heaven. Okay, so that's obviously, what we want, right, to achieve. That that absolute heaven is well, that's the heaven of the Buddhas. Okay, that's the realm of the Buddhas. Okay, so if we can be there, then there's no suffering there, right? And so our holy teacher Jigong Buddha, he guarantees us 10,800 years, but we have to cultivate still. The more merit, the more virtue that we have, we can end up being longer. So eventually, maybe we still have to come back to the world to cultivate. But so that's why not take advantage of this life right now and do the best we can, right? So to do that, right? So that Longhua Assembly, I don't know. There's like apparently after right now. This white period. Okay, so we might, those people who already, we say attained the Tao, that's actually temporary. Okay, in terms of the position that they have. At this Longhua Assembly, which is at the end, I don't know when that happens, but then everyone who's already gone up, they will determine what the actual position is.
Yeah, will be
granted whatever titles or whatever. At the end, heaven. Right.
And then that will determine the next cycle.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So any questions about any of this stuff? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's very simple. These are simple precepts. It's more like kind of establishing a good habit, daily routine to help us to cultivate, to remind us to improve ourselves in our conduct, in our speech, in our mind, okay, our heart and mind. And so, the grand predecessor wrote this, before, while he's alive. Yeah.
The grand predecessor is in the small temple, lower table, the center statue, or the painting against that wall.
Right.
That's the grand predecessor.
Yeah.
When you say if we receive the Tao, then our ancestors don't have to reincarnate and sort of suffer.
Right.
But then why do we need to bring them to the Tao other than them to cultivate themselves?
No, when they're alive, obviously. When they're alive, it's best to have them receive the Tao by themselves. I mean, because if they don't receive the Tao themselves, how do they cultivate? How can they accumulate merits, virtue? They may be able to do good deeds, but it won't be as good as receiving the Tao themselves.
It'll be karmic rewards versus 福报 versus well, what's the other word? I forgot. Anyway, but it just means yeah, it'll be one is karmic, the other one's non-karmic, or
Right.
transcending.
Yeah, and in terms of like they're already deceased, why would we want to uplift them? Basically, if we uplift them, then they go to heaven right now, as opposed to waiting until we die. So that's a long time. That's a long time of suffering, or well, they shouldn't be suffering right now.
Well,
But
uplifting just means that our deceased
it's a direct, it's a
can also receive
immediate,
now, or receive the three treasures and go up right away.
right
You don't
away.
have
Yeah,
to-
you don't have to wait.
reincarnate again or wait. Yeah.
So I guess like for example, when my grandmother refused to receive the Tao, I'm in the Tao,
Right.
then will they still benefit and they don't need to suffer anymore, or they need to receive the Tao themselves in order to
Is she
get the?
deceived?
Well, no, this is like if she were alive and she refused to receive the Tao.
No, I mean they can always benefit. They can always benefit because
Is she still alive?
yeah,
Like
she's still
in
alive.
hypothetically,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, whatever you do in terms of the Tao, whatever good deeds, she will benefit
Right.
also. But whatever bad things you do, she will also be punished invisibly. All right?
Because they said in the scripture that, if we are cultivating or we receive the Tao, then our ancestors no longer suffer. And they don't need to
Right, those are the ones that
That
deceased. Yeah, right.
They will be taken to a separate department to learn about the Tao also and waiting for you to one day uplift them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what they meant by our ancestors don't suffer is when they refer to those ancestors that are deceased. Suffering means they're suffering in the underworld, okay, not in the physical world.
In
Understand?
this
That's-
physical, but they still have to live their life.
Yeah, that's their own life.
They
uh,
still
that-
have to go through their own suffering.
Yeah, their own
So
karma.
they will still maybe
Yeah.
reincarnate, potentially.
I think if
depends.
once they pass away, I don't think they'll reincarnate. Basically, as long as their children
Yeah.
are cultivating I don't think they will need to reincarnate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you become a Buddha, they should be.
Yeah.
So that's what you should aim for.
Yeah, Jill.
So what happened if your ancestors or ancestor already reincarnated?
Well, yeah, I mean, so once they reincarnate, then obviously their whatever karma they're paying back. Okay, now I don't know. I mean, it's not like we received the Tao and then they'll die. They end that life. They still. I don't know. I mean, that's something that we can't really say how they will.
We had a few incidences in the temple where people that want to uplift their ancestor, they have to first approach the transmitter. Transmitter has to ask the holy teacher if this person can be uplifted, because sometimes they are reincarnated and is alive. If we uplift them, their spirit will go up and that person will kaput. Okay? So that's why we have to ask the holy teacher if they can be uplifted.
Right. Yeah. Great.
Just share with everybody what happened after 10,800 years. What happened?
What happens?
Teachers say that only if we study the supernatural and then we can get into the truth word, and that's beyond the 10,800.
Yeah, 具体界。
Otherwise we have to be responsible for ourselves after 10,800 years.
So you could come back down.
Right. Yeah. So.
Study can
Yeah, we need to get to that Buddha nature, right? So if we don't learn it, well, basically learn and practice well enough, cultivate well enough. Yeah, I mean, 10,800 years, that's it's kind of a long time, but we still have to come back, okay? So yeah, if we can get to that state of like the Buddha state, right, then yeah, we can stay longer. How long? It depends. That depends on, how
10,800 years
I mean,
represents
that's,
a cycle.
yeah, kind of,
A small kalpa, or whatever kalpa, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, a mini kalpa, whatever. And so it just means that the reason, okay, the whole universe or cosmos, everything goes in cycle, right? That's called wu tang, right? That's why it's wu tang, right? That's it's not everlasting. So it's always a cycle, okay? The reason why we say 10,800 years is because it just means that, yes, we receive the Tao, the three treasures, right? And we cultivate it a little bit. We cultivate it a little bit. You know, we're filial, I come to the temple, I do nothing, I eat vegetarian food, whatever. But if we don't, but that's very like superficial, very basic. If we don't advance, if we don't go deeper into what Judy said about the Buddha nature, about learning or be at one with our Buddha nature, or learn, okay, or constantly abide or be with our Buddha nature. Then we are subject to that cycle still, subject to that 10,800 year cycle. You get it? So the only way to go beyond that is what we call, you have to attain, you can say, or reach that level of achievement, which is the Buddha nature, which means we call it 究竟界. It means it's the absolute realm. So what's absolute realm? There's no time limit, right? No 10,800, no little kalpa, large kalpa, small kalpa, big, doesn't matter. You get it? So that's why it is so important to want to reach that level. Understand? And the only way to reach that level is to cultivate or to learn about our Buddha nature. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Learn that topic or that essence. Okay?
Yeah. Basically, we have to let go of all attachments. No thoughts. I mean, if you can do that, let go of everything and have no thoughts, that non-conscious mind, then you're Buddha. Yeah.
Yeah. 即心即福, right? 无心是道, right? 即心即福. I remember those eight words.
Okay. So all right. So that I guess any other no other questions. I think we have to end it. So if I had said anything wrong, I ask the Buddhists for forgiveness and for your corrections. All right. Thank you.